We've lived in this neighborhood for 15 years now, and the whole board, like many, is mostly made up of the grouchy old people who have too much time on their hands. Sometimes it's fine for a while, and then someone new takes over and has some vendetta to pursue. I guess we were due for the pendulum to swing. Our front yard has a few big trees and is thus entirely in the shade. We've tried to plant grass seed a few times, but there's just not enough sun for grass to thrive, so it's mostly low ground cover. No idea what kind, but it's green and we keep it mowed. For 13 years this was fine. Then last year, we got a nastygram from the HOA. We had weeds. According to the bylaws, we needed to prove we were using chemical lawn treatments to kill anything that's not grass. Crucially, the rules don't require us to hire a weed control company, although that's what they expected. We just had to provide proof in the form of a receipt for money spent. My lovely, petty spouse went on Amazon and ordered a $6 spray bottle of the most woo-woo-woo new age homeopathic weed killer she could find. I think the main ingredient was lavender oil. We dutifully spritzed the yard a few times, sent an action shot and a copy of the digital receipt, and thanked them for their concern. The lavender oil, shockingly, did nothing. We didn't actually have to kill the weeds, though. Just try. We've heard nothing from the HOA since, and the front yard still has almost no grass. Once upon a time, in the small town of Springdale, USA, lived a 25-year-old woman named Emma. Now, let me tell you, my life was already far from ordinary, but this particular story takes the cake. So grab some popcorn and brace yourself for this wild ride. You see, dear reader, my family has always been a bit colorful. There's my younger sister Jessica, who is 23 years old and can be best described as an entitled drama queen. And then there's me, Emma, just a regular person trying to make sense of the chaos around me. It all started on a sunny Sunday morning. I was sitting in the living room of my mom's house, enjoying my cup of coffee when Jessica barged in, looking as entitled as ever. She had a mischievous glint in her eyes that made my senses tingle with anticipation. "Hey, sis! I have some exciting news," she said, barely containing her excitement. "My amazing, so charming boyfriend, Jason, and I have decided to take our relationship to the next level." I raised an eyebrow, skeptical yet curious. "What does that mean, Jess? Are you getting married or something?" She scoffed, rolling her eyes as if my suggestion was absurd. "No, silly. We're moving in together. But, there's just one tiny problem. We need a place to stay, and, well, I want you to leave Mom's house so we can have it all to ourselves. You know, rent-free and all that jazz." I nearly choked on my coffee. Was she serious? I had been taking care of our aging mother, working 2 jobs and barely making ends meet. The audacity of her request was simply astounding. I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Jessica, are you out of your mind? This is Mom's house, not some free hotel for you and your boyfriend to crash in. Besides, where's your sense of responsibility? You know, that thing normal adults have." She shot me a venomous look. "Responsibility is overrated, Emma. We deserve to live our lives freely, without any pesky bills or obligations. I mean, come on, it's just Mom's house. What's the big deal?" That was it. Her entitled attitude had crossed the line. With a sarcastic smile plastered on my face, I leaned back and said, "Well, Jess, if it's just Mom's house, then maybe I should leave. After all, I've been taking care of her, paying the bills, and ensuring she has a roof over her head while you were off gallivanting with your boyfriend." The words hit her like a slap in the face. Jessica's eyes widened with shock, but her shock quickly transformed into rage. She lunged at me, attempting to physically attack me. Little did she know, I had been taking self-defense classes for the past year. With a swift move, I sidestepped her attack, sending her crashing into a nearby chair. Her grand plan had failed miserably, and she was left seething with anger and embarrassment. As Jessica fumed in the corner, I decided it was time for a little bitter, sweet revenge. I called up my friend Lisa, who worked as a real estate agent, and explained the situation. She knew just the perfect place for Jessica and her boyfriend, a rundown apartment on the outskirts of town. A few days later, Jessica and Jason moved into their new love nest, thinking they had won. But little did they know, I had secretly contacted the local homeowners association and informed them of Jason's shady past. Turns out he had a long rap sheet filled with theft and drug-related charges. Within a week, the association had conducted a thorough background check and kicked them out, citing strict regulations against criminals living in the community. It was a small victory, but it gave me a sense of justice. As for me, dear reader, I continued taking care of my mom, working hard and building a life for myself. I learned that entitlement can lead people astray, but it can also serve as motivation to rise above and prove them wrong. This was a long time ago, pre-internet in fact. I, 17 male, was working a dishwashing job in the 80s. A newish dishwasher challenged me to a fight. I didn't want to fight. I really liked my job. The pay was $3.40 an hour. I was also fed a big meal at work. This was a ballroom kind of place that did weddings, dinners, and Sunday brunch. And I know it sounds oxymoronic, but dare I say high-end buffet. I loved it. Food at home was locked up in a closet, and I never got enough to eat. So work was heaven. Back in the day, pre-internet, there were lots of fights if you were a male. In my experience, you could get in a fight even if you were avoiding conflict. It just happened a bunch, or I was just lucky. Maybe it was because I was dressed out of fashion and my stepmother would take all my money and get me those plastic blue jeans called tough skins. They would melt if you lit them on fire. Don't ask how I know. You would wear out your knee before you wore a hole in them. I had the dorkiest glasses, too. I was branded an outcast. Get off the bus and 15 people get off at your stop. A circle forms and you have to fight someone. I lost all my fights. It sucked. I cried. Just a part of life. If I had magic powers, I would make bullying go away, but back in the day, no one cared. It was not physical build that cost me the fights. I think it was confidence and my conflict avoidance. At home, I was the older brother, so in all those home fights, I tried to fight at 80s because I didn't want to hurt my kid brother while he would try to clobber me. I had too much empathy. Also at home, my stepmother had this 110-foot-long cliff that was 10 feet tall in the backyard that had a septic field behind it that no truck could drive on. Thus, I spent my days with a shovel and a wheelbarrow moving dirt, even in the rain, to turn this cliff into a gentle slope for my stepmother's epic dream flower bed. I had the arms and upper body strength despite not being on a sports team. This comes into the story. I told the new dishwasher I didn't want to fight. He therefore called me names and said I was afraid and so on. I ignored him. This continued for a month. It was the theme of busy Friday nights and also Sunday mornings. He always wanted to talk about how I was afraid to fight him and how I was so weak and so on. He called me those classic 1980s derogatory terms that are now out of vogue. This eventually got old, so one Sunday morning when he challenged me yet again, I said, "Let's fight then." He was surprised I said yes to a fight. We went outside to the parking lot, and it had just rained. He asked again if I wanted to fight. I said I really did. I have heard all about how I can't fight, and I'm afraid for like a month, so now I want to fight and end it already. He said he was just joking, and he didn't really want to fight. I told him he wanted to fight, and I was going to give him exactly what he wanted and had waited so long for. Now, I didn't really want to hurt him. As rude as he had been, I saw him as sort of like my little brother. Annoying, sure, but not someone I want to injure. We work together after all, and it is at a place I like to work, and yet I did want to let him know not to try this crap again. He looked truly frightened. I grabbed his squishy body and put him on a wet car hood and dried the car off from the rain. I used him like a chamois or one of those big car wash sponges. These were not nice cars. They were owned by dishwashers and cooks making $3 to $7 an hour. Even so, I don't think I scraped any of them, or if I did, you couldn't tell. I buffed each car with this dishwasher one after another. He was wiggly, but the friction was low, so honestly it wasn't all that much of a workout. He yelped a bit and seemed genuinely afraid. In the end, he was absolutely soaked. I was too, if only by proximity. He did me the favor of telling everyone about what had happened, and the general consensus was that it was funny, so I didn't face work consequences. After that, I got to wash dishes in peace. Okay, so for some background info, this is a really recent story. It happened like 3 days ago, and I was at Target. Okay, so it was cold outside, and I was wearing a jacket and some black pants, so I get why she confused me for an employee. I was in Target getting a buttload of snacks for my sister's upcoming birthday. I mainly got pizza rolls, cupcakes, cookies, and Kool-Aid. I was heading to get some little baggies and chocolate for the return gifts, and then was planning to get her a strawberry cake. I saw a kid, around the age of 10-11, reaching for some Oreos, so I went and gave him some. He thanked me and then walked away. Then the crazy lady tapped me on the shoulder a couple minutes later as I was picking out baggies. Crazy lady. Hello? Are you going to help me or what? Me. Oh, sorry. I'll just move out of the way. I was thinking she was talking to an employee nearby. Crazy lady. Did you not just hear what I said? Me. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't work here. Crazy lady. Well, it looks like you do. I saw you helping another customer, so help me. At this point, I was just scared, so I couldn't speak. Crazy lady. Well, are you going to speak or what? Whatever. Just find me these things. She hands me a very long page list. Me. Again, I'm sorry, but I don't work here, miss. I walked away. Crazy lady. Listen, I don't know who you think you are, but you obey me. At this point, she was basically digging her nails into my arm. I just flung back, hitting her nose by accident. This made Karen lady enraged, and she threw her purse at me, and oh my god, that purse was like 200 elbs. So anyways, I just sort of went plop on the floor as she was still screaming at me for being lazy, falling asleep on the floor, and being rude, all the while passersby were trying to stop her. A moment or so later, the police were called, and here's how it went. Police? Okay, so tell us what happened. Crazy lady. What? You're siding with that lazy employee? Police. No, we're simply interviewing her first. Manager. Also, she doesn't work here. Crazy lady. Well, she still assaulted me. Police. Let her speak. I explain the story. Crazy lady. She's lying. Police. Okay, well, let's hear your story then. She tells what happened, but says I hit her multiple times in the face and stomach. Police. I'm not sure who to trust. May we view the camera footage? The manager agreed to show the police officer the camera footage, and the police asked me if I wanted to press charges, and of course I said yes, that which was absolutely nuts. I got contacted 3 times, each time progressively nastier about how much my local voluntary fraternal group had donated to charities. I sent them a list of the charities and our total donations of materials and any cash. First call. They wanted exact hours worked, supplies, and cash donations. Okay, I supplied all 3 sent back. Second call. This wasn't good enough. They wanted a separate list for each charity. Okay, I divided them up and sent it back. Third call. Snottiest call ever. What didn't I understand? They needed to be itemized. This just wasn't clear enough. Get it right. Fine. We make reusable sanitary pads for school, age ladies in Liberia, and also sew different items for 3 local charities. I calculated cost of the fabrics down to the inch, of each color of fabrics, cutting times, depreciation of scissors, thread per item, assembly, sewing time, time walking to and from the cutting area to the sewing area, shoe tread depreciation, time sewing depreciation, time sewing, depreciation of sewing needle, electricity depreciation of the carpet in the room, snacks, prep, and cost of lunch, beverages per glass, condiments, shopping time, gas, depreciation of vehicles, on and on. I did the same list for each charity. You name it, they got it single-spaced, 9-font, pie charts, graphs. Everything, 30 pages total. Took me about 12 hours, and I had a great time doing it. I can't wait for them to open the doc. Then they have to print numerous copies for Thier board members and to National as well. Don't mess with the bull baby. You'll get the horns. Fallout. I received an email. While we appreciate the thoroughness of the report, we request a condensed version, following the parameters set forth in the law books. Resent them the original report. Let's see how that goes over. Final update. I hope. I received an email today sent to all chairs of finance with a new form attached to fill out to the best of your ability. I have put the whole email on my profile for your viewing pleasure. I cannot share the form, but I assure you I will be copying-pasting as much information as I can fit in the appropriate section. Thank you all for your great comments and suggestions.